You were mentioning that you keep getting these ads for women's clothing up on your laptop. I actually have to be honest with you, I have been getting these as well. There's obviously some really good algorithm or something for Virgo Boutique. Or is it because you Google it and then it just remembers you and keeps sending you stuff?
I think it must be.
But you're not wearing ladies' clothes.
I was doing a lot of searching, all right, on my laptop, but it wasn't because I'm buying women's clothes, either for myself or anyone else. But,
I'm not buying online either, just saying. But anyway.
So this company, Virgo Boutique, it's owned by a company called MN Fashions, and the owner of that and director is a woman called Mairead Connole. And it's a very successful male, it's online, you order your clothes.
Right.
And presumably they're delivered to your door, whatever, and there's, she's very active on
She's modelling herself, really.
She's modelling herself. It mentions, on the website, it's for women, of that age, kind of 40s, 50s, maybe 30s.
Big difference there.
And I know I'm trying to not be offensive to anyone who buys the clothes. Now this is all going through the company records office. It employs 18 people, and last year made a profit of 500,000. They've 1.3 million cash in hand.
Wow!
For the previous 3 years before that, it was making around 200,000 a year. So it's a very successful company. She used to have a clothes shop in Newcastle West, which is no longer there. It's purely an online company now. And she, she puts out plenty of kind of sort of fitness advice as well. Like, she'll go through some of her various warm up and warm down or different ways of exercising different parts, whether it's your neck or your glutes or whatever, you're working on.
So why are we talking about this lady in Cromwell?
What's interesting is that her partner, Mike Nash, would have been one of the gentlemen that was, again, from Newcastle West and a director of a couple of firms. So one of the firms that he was connected to by the Criminal Assets Bureau, Bone Motors, was described as basically being set up to launder money for the Limerick drugs gangs, and was, in a period of 2 years, it had generated close to 15 million euro. And when the Criminal Assets Bureau raided it in 2018, they seized 111 cars. It was one of their biggest kind of raids of that size.
Was that 2018?
It was 2018.
Yeah, because there was so many cars on the forecourt, they had to bring a load of trucks in.
Yeah, no, it was massive, and I kind of went on for a couple of years. Yeah, this case, 111. Now, some of them, it turned out some of them weren't necessarily the target of the Criminal Assets Bureau. Some of them were like your small numbers, and there was various people that claimed an interest in some of these cars, and Mike Nash was one of these. So he was seen as one of the people who had a controlling interest in Bone Motors. So there would have been affidavit evidence about Mike Nash and who he was.
And what did it say about him at the time? He was from Newcastle West.
He's from Newcastle West, and that he kind of had a car firm, but they basically really what they were saying was that he was actually, as far as they were concerned, one of major suppliers of drugs in the region and had international connections. And
I think what kind of came out of the whole Bone Motors case and all the rest of it was that there was this, all of a sudden, an understanding that those Limerick gangs who had feuded for many years, decades, and had really kind of, drawn the attention of the Gardaí, had become far more sophisticated. And they were, when it came to the money, there was no feud. They were all working together. It was understood that the money laundering was being carried out for all of the gangs.
Yeah, I mean, it was across the board. I mean, like the evidence where, you're talking about, on one side of it, you had, like, for instance, John O'Donoghue from Rathkeale, who was, having meetings with the Keanes, with Christy Keane and with his kind of trusted lieutenant, Dermot Plum McManus. And then on the other side as well, you had in meetings with some of the people involved at Bone Motors who were dealing with Eds McCarthy. It was like the feud on the street had nothing to do with the business. These are people that were more interested in making money and basically getting on with business. And this is their way. I think Bone Motors is very much a way of kind of trying to move their money on. It was also nice to have a pool of cars that could be used by people. Like, they would come in and just take what they wanted that day and drive away. It was very much seen, you know.
The real high-end cars, weren't they?
There was a mixture. There was a real mixture, and of course there was no proper records keeping and all the rest. And this is all part of the case against them, that, you know, it wasn't really a company. Also mentioned in the fact that there was a nice house or an old cottage that they had done up and spent a lot of money on, and this in Liscannor, and it would have, according to the land registry records that I looked at, belongs to Ms. Connole, and she had made a couple of different planning applications in terms of you know, adding bits and pieces to it, and, you know, basically gave it this old cottage a modern makeover with an extension that overlooks the Atlantic. It's a nice area, Liscannor, if you've ever been there.
So Connole is certainly not trying to hide anywhere, or she's very much out there with her company, and, you know, it is clearly there's revenue. They are responding to revenue.
Yeah, there was an underpayment of PRSI, or I think, you know, it was kind of, you know, wage related underpayment of tax, and that was settled, or, you know, it was €189,000 was paid in 2023. But that didn't stop it going from strength to strength, and, you know, building up its cash reserves and making its 500,000 last year.
It'll probably make more now that we've given her a good free advertisement on Crime World.
Well, I'm certainly getting a lot of the ads now. I'll have to figure out some way of blocking these ads, because I'm getting tired of looking at them.
You can do it. I've got the same. Yeah.
There you go.
It's just my...
And everyone listening to this now is going to be looking at these.
I know. And the business is going to fly.
Sure, it doesn't work that way.
Anyway, we'll keep an eye on this story. So thank you, Eamon.
Always a pleasure, Nicola.